Money Week is next on CNN, and later on The World Today, how one group of youngsters is honoring John Glenn, soon to return to space. The first American to orbit the Earth is to go back into space with a shuttle launch on Thursday. CNN will provide extensive coverage of that flight.
A South African soccer match came to an abrupt end Sunday when 5 players were struck by lightning. 2 of the players were admitted to a hospital and 3 were slightly injured when the lightning strike occurred in the final minute of the game in Johannesburg. Well, turning now
right in the eye, that's why you have clear skies. The northeast quadrant, the strongest. This is just a perfectly shaped hurricane, and it's moving very slowly through warm water. Therefore, it is going to intensify. Already winds up to 150 miles an hour. At 156 miles an hour, it becomes a Category 5 storm on the Saffir-Simpson scale, which is the most powerful hurricane you can get on that scale. The coordinates 16.6 north, 80.7 west. That's 190 miles.
Nine minutes till the top of the hour. Time now for Storm Watch, sponsored by Home Depot. And we are dealing with 2 areas of concern tonight. One, the area of unsettled weather in the southwestern United States, reaching up into the Rocky Mountain states. We'll take a look at that momentarily, but first we're going to take a trip to the tropics and tell you about a powerful late-season hurricane. We're, of course, speaking of Hurricane Mitch. So to the tropics we go. Here's the big picture. Mitch, pretty much the only story in the Atlantic, and by and large, even in the eastern Pacific. We'll take a look at Tropical Depression Lester momentarily, but right here in the northern Caribbean Sea, we are dealing with a major hurricane. Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, on the verge of becoming a Category 5 system. As of 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, center of Mitch 200 miles south of Grand Cayman Island with top winds of 150 miles an hour, and the system was moving west at 8 miles an hour, and the pressure estimated at 924 millibars. We say estimated because it's been a few hours since the Air Force Reserve has sent a Hurricane Hunter aircraft through the storm. The new aircraft flight heading on in even as we speak, and we should be getting new data back from that over the next few hours, and that is critical to establishing the top wind speeds of the storm and the central pressure. They'll drop a package of instruments down in the eye, and that will measure the air pressure and various other weather parameters on the way down, radio it back to the plane, and the plane will then radio it back to the National Hurricane Center. Next advisory from the NHC due out at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and at that time we'll see how the new information from the Hurricane Hunters will play into the status of Hurricane Mitch. Now, as I mentioned, it's right now an extreme potential for damage, Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson scale. If it makes it to 156 miles an hour or greater in top wind speed, it would be classified as a catastrophic Category 5 storm. Think Camille. That was a Category 5 storm when it came ashore in the Gulf Coast in 1969. Right now, only the Cayman Islands are under watches and warnings. Hurricane watch, tropical storm warning. However, the National Hurricane Center has recommended that hurricane warnings be posted from Limon, Honduras down to the Nicaraguan border. But because of communications difficulties communicating with the Honduran meteorological personnel, so far we've not been able to confirm that officially the warnings have been raised. So right now it's just a recommendation, but still, if you live here in Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, you certainly should be very concerned about what's going to be happening with Hurricane Mitch. Here's those tropical storm warnings. Let's get to a picture. I want to show you a picture of this thing. It is a very impressive looking storm. Extremely symmetrical, eye wall completely wrapped around here, very strong convection, very good outflow from the top of the storm. This thing is getting rid of its exhaust extremely well, and you can see it's drifting to the west here. a dangerous system, very dangerous. So this is something we'll be watching here in the late season. But for now, it's out in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. It's still, as it drifts westward, it could begin to affect the coast of Central America and up toward the Yucatan Peninsula. So we'll keep a very close eye on this. Other than that, not much happening in the tropics. We are dealing with still a tropical depression here into the eastern Pacific. Top winds of 35 miles an hour. That's Tropical Depression Lester. Not much with it, really. Just a little bit of clouds. The center completely exposed. Okay, we bring it on home now. Wanted to show you what's happening here in the United States. We do have some rainy weather going on in the Four Corners area. There's still some stormy weather in around Phoenix, and especially heading up toward Flagstaff and here north of Tucson. I give you a little bit broader perspective, and we are still dealing with a big upper-level low spinning and bringing some rain showers and snow at the higher elevations. We'll tell you more about that in the forecast coming up in Weather Center.
Monday may bring a great day for fishing to many areas, plus the latest on Hurricane Mitch next on Weather Center after your local forecast.
This program was sponsored by the Home Depot.
Professional builders, people who make a living with their tools, prefer to buy their tools at the Home Depot more than any other store in America. And whether it's the selection, the quality brands we offer, or our guaranteed commitment to the lowest prices, we think it's a pretty powerful argument for why you should shop here too. The Home Depot, where people who know their stuff buy their stuff.
I'm Arthur Vromer, the travel writer, and I am filming this report on October 4, 1998 in San Juan. I have toured the major...
This Storm Watch sponsored by Touchstone Energy. Thanks a lot for joining us early on this Monday morning. In a moment, we'll talk about the stormy weather, the rain and the snow in the southwestern part of the United States. Let's begin, though, with the latest on the tropics and what has turned out to be a very powerful hurricane in the Caribbean. Hurricane Mitch right now has sustained winds of 150 miles per hour, and some intensification is expected to take place. That could put it in the sustained wind category of 155 or greater, which would make it a Category 5 hurricane later on today. That is the official forecast. And for sure right now, it's a devastating hurricane, but fortunately it is out over open water at this point. It's moving slowly, too, west at 7, and the latest coordinates would be 16.5 north and 82.3 west, 200 miles or so southwest of Grand Cayman Island. And look at the pressure. It's 923 millibars, or 27.26 inches of mercury. Well, hurricane warnings now are in effect for Swan Island right here, and also the coast of Honduras and right down to the Honduran-Nicaraguan border. Hurricane watches for the Cayman Islands, while the hurricane watch has been discontinued, watch and warning for Jamaica. Nevertheless, the southerly fetch through here will mean pounding surf and probably some beach erosion, coastal flooding in Jamaica, and certainly in the Cayman Islands the next 24 to 36 hours. Here's the wind field. Those 150 mile per hour sustained winds, of course, in the eye wall, and hurricane force winds here, tropical storm force winds extending out far enough to be impacting the coastal sections of Central America right now. Let's take a look at the satellite picture, and as we do, it is an extremely well-developed hurricane, as you can see, with a sharply defined eye, which according to the reconnaissance aircraft is only about 10 to 12 miles across, surrounded by very cold cloud tops indicated by the dark red. You see that surrounding the entire eye. Now in the upper levels, there is high pressure, and the outflow at the top of the storm continues to be excellent. With that and the warm sea surface conditions, it is felt that further intensification may take place today, and that could put Mitch in the Category 5, into the Category 5 status later on, with top sustained winds of 155 miles per hour or stronger, and that means gusts up to 190 to 195. Now, where is Mitch going to go? Well, right now there's high pressure to the north, and with a clockwise flow around, it is sort of forcing Mitch off to the west-northwest, and that is the most likely track right now, onto the west-northwest towards Central America or the Yucatan Peninsula. It's a very slow-moving system, and for the southern part of the United States, it's simply a wait-and-see, monitor closely type situation. It's more of a threat, we think, right now to this region of the world, but we'll keep you posted just in case there is a change in the track of Mitch. Elsewhere in the tropics, not much happening as we have shearing winds out east of the islands and some scattered storms off the west coast of Africa. The tropical season is pretty much ended now as the jet stream winds have dipped far south. So the main story, the center of attention, is powerful Hurricane Mitch there out off the west coast of Mexico. Lester pretty much has fallen apart now, just a weak tropical depression. Top sustained winds 35.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at the Weather Channel for Storm Watch, sponsored by Walls. We have the strongest hurricane of the Atlantic season rotating in the Western Caribbean at this hour. And for a full update, here's John Hope, hurricane expert here at the Weather Channel.
Yes, indeed, Marshall. That is the strongest hurricane of this season and one of the most powerful ones we've ever seen in the Caribbean, certainly this time of year. It's not quite as strong as Gilbert was back in 1988 and also Allen back in 1980, but a very powerful storm. Several have asked me if that was the strongest one we ever had this late in the year. I don't think it is quite. We had one hurricane in 1932, even early November, that hit up here on the south coast of Cuba. I believe that hurricane was a little bit stronger than this one is, but this is powerful enough. It's really an awesome hurricane.